The 2022/23 EFL Championship season has come to an end, with Burnley and Sheffield United getting promoted and then Luton Town to face Coventry City in the playoff final in just a week's time. But for today's video, I am going to be ranking all the away fans that came to Preston this season, that came to Deepdale. Obviously, there's going to be teams that have to travel further distances than others. There's going to be midweek games that come into an account. But obviously, it's not a list of the best away fans overall. It is the ones who came to Deepdale. The teams closest to Preston obviously brought more numbers, but it didn't necessarily bring the most noise, and that is what I am going to be basing this list on. So let's just get straight into it. 23 teams who were the best away fans that came to Deepdale this season. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to start off at the bottom with the awful bracket and then work my way up to the top where we have the elite fans. So the worst fans that came to Deepdale for the 2022/23 season, based from my experience, is Watford. Now, this game did end in a 0-0 draw, but just I couldn't hear them at all. I couldn't hear anything from their fans the entire game. So, well, there's 24 teams in the Championship, but obviously we can't include ours. These are just teams that came to Deepdale. So in 23rd spot, last place, we have Watford. Joining them in the awful category in 22nd place, we have Swansea City. I heard little peeps out of them at times. They were one of the worst set of fans that came to Deepdale this season. Joining Watford and Swansea in the awful category in 21st place, I have put Reading. And then just to conclude the awful category, the final spot, I am putting West Bromwich Albion in 20th place. If I can just move that over to the left there. Now, it was a nighttime game, this one, and it was on Sky Sports again, but obviously you had to take all that into account. This was when Steve Bruce was still in charge, and then the little bits that you did hear from the Albion fans was Steve Bruce out, but apart from that, I know we got a very early goal and ended up winning the game in their match, but didn't hear anything from them the entire game. So that concludes the awful category. Also, these 4 games, the COP was split between home and away fans as well. So these fans, they took around 1,000-ish away, but they were still completely silent. So let's move on now to the average category. In 19th place, I am putting Blackpool. Of course, big local derby. The COP was split for this one. They took around 2,000 fans. Pre-match, they were absolutely excellent. As soon as the whistle blew, complete silence. Joining Blackpool in the average category in 18th place, I'm putting Coventry City, also alongside Huddersfield Town in 17th place as well, all in the average category. It has been pretty difficult to rank each and every team in terms of placement. That's why I've come up in terms of categories, but I have been updating this list after every game in terms of other sets of fans after the game. So I've got a rough idea just from my personal experience, but also joining Blackpool, Coventry and Huddersfield in average is Luton Town in 16th place. And then my final team going in to the average category in 15th place, we have got the final Welsh team, Cardiff City. You heard little bits of their fans throughout the game. Nothing special though. But now we move on to the decent category. This is when it gets a bit interesting. So in 14th place, we've got a pretty local team. It is Wigan Athletic. They were pretty good. They did score first in the game before we ended up beating them 2-1. And yeah, well, yeah, they were pretty good, decent enough. And yeah, earns them a spot in the decent category. In 13th place, I am going to put Hull City. This was our first home game of the season, ending in a 0-0 draw. But they were pretty good. What wasn't the greatest of scorelines, obviously, but you heard them throughout the game. Pretty decent support by Hull City, so they're in my 13th place. And then sticking with the decent category, in 12th place, I am putting Queen's Park Rangers. Now, QPR, they did beat us 1 or 2-0. It was Neil Critchley's first game in charge of QPR. From my experience, QPR weren't overly impressive. And then, again, sticking with the decent category, in 11th place, I am putting Rotherham United. Again, another game that ended in a 0-0 draw, although it was a very entertaining game with lots of chances for Preston, and it's one of those draws that we should have turned into a win. Rotherham United fans, they were pretty decent. They're in my 11th spot, and in 10th place, I am putting Millwall. Again, the cup was split for this game. It was a very high scoring game. It ended 4-2, 2-2 at half time. They were pretty good. So in 10th place, Millwall, and then 9th place, I've got another local team, Blackburn Rovers. Of course, this one towards the end of the season ended in a 1-1 draw. They were pretty good. Obviously, they were high up at the time. Did end up missing out on the playoffs in the end. Ended in a 1-1 draw. We got that last second equaliser. So yeah, pretty good set of away fans. Blackburn Rovers, 9th place. Now we move on to the top teams, where we are going into the very good and elite category. This is where you want to be, pretty much. So in my 8th place, I am putting Middlesbrough. They were really good throughout the game. Of course, we ended up winning that right at the last second as well, with a Jordan Story header. Ended up winning that one 2-1 right at the end. But throughout the game, Middlesbrough, they were singing all through the game. Obviously, disappointing for them. They always tend to send out a good support throughout seasons as well. When they've come to Deepdale, they've been very good, especially last season as well, the final game of the season. Really good support. So Middlesbrough, they were really good. 7th place, joining Middlesbrough in the very good category, we've got Stoke City, of course. Alex Neil's return to Deepdale ended in a win for him and the team. Really good. Heard them throughout the entire game. And we weren't very good at all on that day, I remember. We managed to hold on in the first half, but then they scored an early goal in the second half, if I remember correctly. And then they got a second one as well. They ended up winning it 2-0, and they were singing all throughout the second half. And they were really good in the first half as well, but especially when the goals started coming. They were really good. So 7th place, Stoke City. In my 6th place, I have got Bristol City. They won this game 2-1, and I remember I was very impressed by Bristol City all throughout the game, singing, bouncing up and down. They were really good. They were extremely loud, and one of the best set of away fans that came to Deepdale this season. So in my 6th place, Bristol City. Still sticking in the very good category in 5th place. This is my final team in the very good category. But as I said, anything from the very good category upwards, really good set of away fans. But yeah, in my 5th place, final Lancashire team, I'm putting Burnley. Of course, this ended in a 1-1 draw. Burnley scored a very early goal. A really good set of away fans. Obviously, it was a derby game. They completely filled out the away ends. But then we did get that, pretty quickish equaliser from when they scored, and then it stayed 1-1, and both sets of fans throughout the entire game. It was a packed out Deepdale for this game. Both sets of fans were really good, but still Burnley don't make it into my top category, which is what we are moving on to now, the elite category, the final category, where we have 4 more teams. Obviously, we have Preston here, but I can't include them because obviously they're not away fans that came to Deepdale. So my first team in the elite category is Norwich City. I have nothing else to say apart from they were absolutely excellent. And the final three teams, I can't describe them apart from these are brilliant sets of away fans. In my third place, I am putting Sheffield United, absolutely excellent again. In second place, this was quite early on into the season, and this team definitely impressed me. They were super loud. In second place, we have Birmingham City. I know their fans travel in numbers for away games, but they were super loud when they came to Deepdale and really impressed me. So in second place, Birmingham City. But obviously, one more team left, Sunderland, on the final day of the season. Obviously, they made it into the top six in the playoffs. They absolutely demolished us. And they were absolutely fantastic the entire game. And they were having a party in that away end when, obviously, all the goal news came in that Blackburn were beating Millwall, and at the final whistle, absolutely excellent. Although what I will say that wasn't very excellent was that there were a few Sunderland fans, I won't say that they are supporters, that did spray paint our memorial, which is not impressive. But obviously, I am going off noise at the ground and not going off behaviour, what happened in the city centre before or after the game. But that concludes my 23 teams, sets of away fans that came to Deepdale this season from worst to best. And yeah, there's going to be more championship content coming for next season. I will see you all in my next video. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all soon. Bye.